5 years. Back in the second season. Good episodes, interesting ideas, and some of them are just, they come through and you watch
Can everybody hear me okay? A little louder. Can everybody hear me okay?
Louder.
Louder. How about all you out there a little quieter first? And then we'll talk about making it louder. Okay. And actually, thank you for helping with the louder because this only goes so high. The rest is up to the amplification. There we go. Can everybody hear me better now? Yeah. All right. Raise your hands if you can't hear me. Before we get started, I've been advised, I understand that it's common customary for many public meetings to, in the township of Homedale to begin with a salute to the flag, so I will ask that we pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In many instances, nice to see you again. I'll say good evening. My name is Judge Aaliyah Pelios. I'm the administrative law judge assigned in this matter. The matter before me right now is a public hearing in the matter of the petition of New Jersey Natural Gas Company for a determination concerning Homedale Regulator Station pursuant to statute. OAL, Office of Administrative Law Docket Number, PUC 01160-17, Agency Reference Number GO170100023, and OAL Docket Number PUC 17810-18, Agency Docket Number GO181111257, Consolidated Dockets. So, again, good evening. Thank you for attending and participating in this evening's public hearing in this matter. My name is Aaliyah A. Pelios, and I am the Office of Administrative Law Judge assigned to preside over this hearing. The purpose of the hearing this afternoon is to provide members of the public with the opportunity to comment upon New Jersey Natural Gas Company's pending consolidated petitions before the Board of Public Utilities. Although the representatives of New Jersey Natural Gas Company, the Board of Public Utilities, the Division of Rate Counsel, and the intervener, the Township of Homedale, will not be answering any questions as a part of this hearing, they may be available to answer any questions you may personally have either during a break or at the conclusion of the hearing today. These representatives, I will ask them to introduce themselves to you shortly. But before that, I would like to set forth some ground rules for testimony. If you wish to testify this evening, please be sure to print your name and address on the sign-in sheet, which I hope there's still one by the door, so that you may be recognized. Please note, it is not my practice to set time limits for each speaker during the public hearing. However, please be mindful that others may also like to provide testimony today as well. We'd like to move through as thoroughly yet diligently as possible. To that end, I will add that this public hearing involves two consolidated petitions regarding the construction of a proposed regulator station at one of two separate yet proximate locations. A public hearing was held with regard to the first petition, as many of you may recall, which would locate that station at 960 Homedale Road on June 8th, 2017, at this very location. If you testified at that time, or offered written comment in accordance with that public hearing, please rest assured that those comments are and remain a part of the record of these consolidated proceedings. If you plan to offer testimony tonight that is not substantially or substantively different from testimony you offered at that hearing, you may decide that you don't need to at this time, as those sentiments are already contained in this record. Now, I'm not offering this as a prohibition by any means to testifying again. Please do so if you wish. I remain here to hear all who wish to speak. I only seek to clarify in case there was confusion as to whether the former comments are still to be included, and I assure you they are. Just a means to suggest a method by which we can ensure all who wish to be heard are heard while moving the proceedings forward. As I said, we will be here until all of you who wish to testify have had the opportunity to do so. I would suggest, however, that if you've not already done so, take some time to organize your thoughts so that you can present your comments and concerns in a concise, efficient manner. If someone else has spoken and you're in agreement with those remarks, it's not necessary to repeat them. You may simply say that you agree with them. Your agreement will be noted for the record. Bear in mind that the purpose of these petitions filed by the New Jersey Natural Gas Company. According to the petitions, the company seeks to appeal a decision of the Homedale Township Zoning Board of Adjustment denying the petitioner's application for the construction of a proposed regulator station at one of the two proposed locations, and seeks a determination that the construction of the proposed regulator station is for the benefit of the residents of Homedale and neighboring municipalities in Monmouth County, is necessary to maintain system integrity and reliability, and is reasonably necessary for the service, convenience, or welfare of the public, and that no alternative site or sites are reasonably available to achieve an equivalent public benefit. Finally, petitioner seeks an order that the zoning, site plan review, and all other municipal land use ordinances or regulations promulgated under the auspices of Title 40 of the New Jersey statutes and the municipal land use law of the state of New Jersey shall not apply to the proposed facility. I am certain that those present representing New Jersey Natural Gas Company will further elaborate on the petition and will further explain the nature of its request. The formal evidentiary hearing in this matter will be held at the Office of Administrative Law in Mercerville, New Jersey on a date to be determined. We're understanding it may take about 6, we're planning for 6 evidentiary hearing days. About a dozen or so dates have been identified that we are looking to winnow down to obtain those 6. You are all welcome to attend once those hearings are fixed. As I said, they're expected to occur in May or June, or both this year. At this time, I'd like to ask for the representatives of the parties to the litigation to please place their appearances on the record, and if they wish to provide any opening statement, to do so. Starting with the petitioner. Sure, if you want to take this one, you're welcome to.
Good evening. Thank you, Judge Bilios. My name is Craig Eisenstark. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Cozen O'Connor, and I represent New Jersey Natural Gas Company in this matter that we're here for tonight.
Could you spell your name, sir?
Sure. E-I-S-E-N-S-T-A-R-K.
Sure, why don't we do introductions first and then do statements.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Henry Ogden, O-G-D-E-N. I represent the New Jersey Division of Rate Counsel, and I'll be explaining all that in my public statement in just a moment.
Good evening. My name is Paul Lupo. I represent the Board of Public Utilities staff, and I will present an opening statement as well.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm Peter Dixon, D-I-C-K-S-O-N, of the law firm of Potter and Dixon in Princeton, and we represent the Township of Homedale in this proceeding.
Your Honor, before I begin my opening statement, I just have one administrative matter to address, and that is I need to mark an exhibit. Just this has to do with the public notices that were published and served on the county municipal clerks and county administrators. I have a packet of documents that I've marked as Exhibit P7. I'll just identify them briefly as what they are, and then I'll distribute copies to Your Honor, the court reporter, and the other parties. The first document is a notice dated January 16th, 2020, to the county clerk, municipal clerk, and county administrator, providing notice of the public hearing that we're at this evening. Attached to that is a copy of the newspaper. The second document in the packet is simply an affidavit of service of that notice. The next document in the packet is an affidavit of proof of insertion from the Asbury Park Press. The notice is an affidavit that the newspaper advertisement for this public hearing was published in the Asbury Park Press on January 17th, 2020. And then the final document is a similar affidavit, proof of insertion for the Morristown Daily Record, again, swearing that the advertisement for tonight's public hearing was published in the Morristown Daily Record on January 17th, 2020. And now I'll just proceed with my opening statement. As I said earlier, my name is Craig Eisenstark. I'm an attorney with the firm of Close & O'Connor, representing New Jersey Natural Gas, or New Jersey Natural in this matter. As the judge said earlier, the purpose of this public hearing is to offer anyone who'd like the opportunity to provide comments on the filing that New Jersey Natural Gas has made with the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities, which we commonly refer to as the BPU. On November 29th, 2018, New Jersey Natural Gas filed a petition to the BPU appealing a decision of the Homedale Township Zoning Board of Adjustment denying the company's application for the construction of a proposed regulator station. The station will be a natural gas pressure reduction facility. It will reduce the natural gas pressure between the company's high-pressure transmission system and the low-pressure distribution system. The station will be constructed on private property, and the proposed site is the address of the proposed site is 960 Homedale Road. The lot in question is about 16 and a half acres and is currently occupied by an office park complex and an existing cell phone communications tower. The lot is adjacent to an existing solar generation facility, which is just facing the lot to the left of the proposed site. The station itself will be located on an easement on a small section of the property, and it will be approximately 200 feet west of Homedale Road. The proposed site is located in the township's OL-2 zone. As a result, the proposed station is a conditionally permitted public utility use under the Homedale municipal zoning ordinances. The company's application before the zoning board sought preliminary and final site plan approval, category B and C variances, and for public utility conditional use approval, as well as a few other related approvals. The company demonstrated before the zoning board that this public utility use is both appropriate for the property and for the OL2 zone. As the company demonstrated in its hearings before the zoning board, the station is an inherently beneficial use. New Jersey Natural Gas further demonstrated before the zoning board the suitability of the proposed site. A little bit more specifics on the station. The station will consist of a filter, a heater, 2 regulator runs. The regulator runs are the pipes that essentially bring the natural gas to and from the station, and the associated piping. So basically, I'm going to digress from my written statement here a little bit, just I think everyone here probably understands, but the natural gas transmission main is running underground in the right-of-way beneath Homedale Road or just adjacent to Homedale Road. The regulator runs or the piping that would bring the natural gas from the transmission main into the regulator station itself where the pressure is reduced, and then it goes back out into the transmission and distribution system. The station will have dual regulator runs, which is 2 pipes, to better ensure reliability, safety, and adequacy of gas delivery to New Jersey Natural's customers. The redundancy of the regulator runs is an industry best practice employed to manage risk, because if one run has to be deactivated for maintenance, the second run will continue operating in order to continue to provide pressure reduction and delivery of natural gas and to avoid any interruption in gas service. The station will be constructed in full accordance with NJAC 14:7, which are the applicable New Jersey safety and reliability rules, as well as the applicable federal regulations under the transportation of natural and other gas by pipeline, which is part of the Code of Federal Regulations. The station is required to maintain the integrity and reliability of New Jersey Natural's local distribution system, which provides natural gas for customers' home heating needs. It allows the company to safely and reliably achieve the significant reduction in gas pressure, and that reduction can be a change of up to 600 pounds per square inch, or PSI, from the existing transmission in Homedale to the existing distribution system that ultimately delivers the gas to customers in Homedale and in the surrounding communities. The design of the above-ground regulator station with a heating unit will prevent the regulators and the associated facilities from freezing and becoming encased in ice, a condition that can result in a loss of service to the local distribution customers. From a public health and safety perspective, loss of gas service to a segment of Homedale could prove to be devastating to the affected customers, especially in the winter when heat and hot water are critical. If, for example, a regulator failure resulted in the loss of service to dozens or even hundreds of homes, there would be a significant delay in service restoration. That's because once the gas service is interrupted, the company can't simply flip a switch to instantly turn the service back on once the repair is made. And that process itself could take a significant amount of time because the company would have to go out, thaw the regulator, and then make whatever repairs were necessary due to the freezing. However, before service could be restored, the company personnel would have to personally visit each of the affected premises to manually turn off the gas at each service line. Then, once that was done, the company would have to repressurize the gas system and then would have to return again to each individually affected property or home in order to turn the gas back on manually and relight the pilot for each appliance or furnace. We can't simply turn the gas back on all at once for each property, because if there was a premises with an unlit pilot light, that premises could slowly fill up with gas, which could result in an extremely dangerous situation once the relighting took place. If 50 or 100 houses, for example, lost service due to the regulator station failure, the restoration process would leave homes without heat and hot water for many days, which in the winter could cause a significant impact on the health and well-being of residents, and could possibly lead to the damage of your homes due to freezing pipes and similar conditions. In regard to the source of emissions from the heating unit that will be present at the regular station, due to the fact that there is an insignificant source of emissions, the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, or NJDEP, air permit is not required. The emissions from the heater are similar to those from a typical natural gas home furnace or boiler, because essentially that's what this is. It's a boiler heater that heats the gas as it travels through the pipes to keep it from freezing during the pressure reduction. In addition, a DEP land use permit is not required due to the limited scope of the station in the absence of an environmentally sensitive feature at the proposed site. In its zoning board application, the company committed to surround the station with dense and varied landscaping, including tree and shrub plantings. In this regard, it's important to note that the proposed site slopes down by approximately 12 feet from the Homedale Road right-of-way to where the facility would be located, which in and of itself affords an existing visual barrier even before there's any landscaping planted. The landscaping would include two L-shaped, 20-foot wide berms and landscape easements directly around the facility enclosure, as well as an 18-foot by 95-foot tree line easement, which would be essentially a preemptive stand of evergreens to be planted approximately 60 feet from the Homedale Road right-of-way. In addition, to address local concerns and improve the site, New Jersey Natural has also agreed to the following landscaping and visual improvements at the proposed site. The company will install a 12-foot high chain link fence with wood privacy slats that will be painted green on the east side of the facility and on a portion of both the north and the south side. The remainder of the fencing would be an 8-foot high chain link fence with similar wood privacy slats that would be painted green. The company will construct an earthen landscaping berm that varies from 12 to 36 inches high along the east, the north, and the west sides of the facility. But there would be a masonry walk constructed along the east and a portion of the north side to support that landscaping berm. There will be an 8-foot high sound barrier constructed along the east and portions of both the north and the south sides to minimize any noise impacts. Altogether, the company has offered and will plan to install more than 100 trees and shrubs to provide a visual barrier. Many of these plants and shrubs will be planted on top of the berm, which would provide additional height to the visual barrier. I apologize, I'm almost finished. This landscaping plan would completely obscure the station from public view, except for approximately 2 to 3 feet at the top of the heating unit. However, even that would soon be obscured once the trees increase in height and reach their mature size. In all, the company's put forward a significant effort to address any potential visual concerns from the station. As the judge stated in his opening comments, the company is requesting that the Board of Public Utilities issue an order pursuant to the applicable statutes to determine that the construction of the station for the benefit of the residents of Homedale and the neighboring municipalities in Monmouth County is reasonably necessary for the service, convenience, or welfare of the public. Additionally, the company has requested that the BPU determine that no alternative site or sites are reasonably available to achieve this equivalent public benefit, and to find that the Township of Homedale and Monmouth County zoning ordinances, the applicable site plan review, and all other municipal land use ordinances and regulations would not apply to the proposed station. And that concludes my opening statements. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Eisenstark, and don't ever apologize for being almost done. Next, on behalf of Rate Council.
Thank you, Your Honor. In the interest of time, I will not say anything that's already been said, so I'll keep it as brief as possible. I'm Henry Ogden, Assistant Deputy Rate Counsel. I represent the New Jersey Division of Rate Counsel. Our office was created by the legislature to represent all ratepayers in public utility matters, rates, and services. As you've heard, this is the second iteration of this request for the location of the regulator station. The first was at 970 Homedale Road in 2017, and now it's 180 feet west of the Homedale Road right-of-way at 960 Homedale Road. As the final cost of this project hasn't yet been determined, my office will actively participate in future reviews and the recovery of proven cost proceedings for the Board of Public Utilities. Our office is conducting a complete investigation of the petition based upon the information supplied and updated by the company. We have retained the services of an expert consultant to assist us in our review, and my office's inquiry will be focused on the necessity of the station and whether the design and construction plans are consistent with applicable engineering and safety standards. But the Board of Public Utilities will ultimately make the final decision regarding the company's proposal regarding the station. So as you heard, tonight's meeting is to hear from you. There's a court reporter here who will be recording everything that you say. And the Board of Public Utilities also wants to hear from you. And there's a representative here who could speak to them. Thank you very much.
Good evening. So as I mentioned earlier, my name is Paul Lupo. I'm here representing the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities staff. I'd like to thank you all for coming out to participate, and I look forward to hearing your comments. I think we know New Jersey Natural Gas filed a petition on November 29, 2018 with the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities, or the board, requesting the board determine three things: that the construction of the Homedale Regulator Station is reasonably is necessary for the service, convenience, or welfare of the public; that no alternative site or sites are reasonably available to achieve an equivalent public welfare; and that the board exempt the company from Title 40 of the New Jersey statutes, the municipal land use law of the state of New Jersey, pursuant to its statutory authority. The board staff plays an active role in all electric and gas matters before the board. We review all aspects and supporting documentation with respect to the filing for reasonableness of the company's claims. It is important to note that board staff must consider the needs of the utility, those of the ratepayers, and those of the general public, while attempting to balance the continued efforts of the utility providing safe, adequate, and reliable service at reasonable cost. I can assure you that board staff is thoroughly investigating and scrutinizing all documents submitted in these matters and will develop a full record. However, until the board makes its decision in this matter, board staff is precluded from comment. Once again, I look forward to hearing your comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and committee members. Your Honor, I'm Peter Dixon. I represent the Township of Homedale in this matter. And I would like to just make a few brief observations about some of the implications of this. New Jersey has many fine towns to live in. I'm pretty sure most of you would say this is the best one of them all. This is a very livable town, and I speak from great personal experience because my in-laws lived in the Oak Hill section of Middletown for 30 years, and I kept a bike there, and I have ridden all over the place, all over this county and all through Homedale Township. It is one of the most livable towns in the state, if not the most. And you are right to feel very proud about it. Your Honor, you're going to hear from these folks tonight about why they love this town, about the things that make it such a special place, and their concerns about the impact that this regulator station might have excuse me, on the quality of their life. This case is kind of an event in what I hope is a continuing, and many people hope is a continuing transformation of the way in which utilities go about deciding to maintain and improve their infrastructure. We all know that utilities have a very strong incentive to build. They earn a return on their assets used and useful in the provision of utility service. So to the extent that they can add more facilities, spend more money on facilities, it goes straight to the bottom line. In principle, there's really nothing wrong with this. We depend on our regulators and government officials to help put brakes on irresponsible steps in this direction. But I think because of many factors, including environmental factors, climate change, growing density of population, we need to see the utilities transform the way they think about their infrastructure. All too often, the design and planning of these infrastructure improvements takes place with one eye, or maybe most of the time, both eyes on the bottom line. And there's not enough attention paid to the impact that these sometimes necessary but very intrusive structures have on the neighborhoods in which they're located and the communities in which they're located. And all too often what happens is the utility engineers, who are very competent and very good at what they do, they design a regulator station like this, and then dealing with everything else, including impacts on your neighborhoods and your community is passed off to some public relations arm to massage and take care of that way. That has to change. It's very important that change. And we're starting to see this change in a number of utilities, and we would like to impress upon this particular utility the need to do that in this case. Other speakers have told you what the statute is all about here, but the case law implementing this statute says that the board must consider a wide range of factors, including the impacts on the neighborhood, the impact on the local land use plan, the cost, the availability of alternative sites, the availability of alternative means to achieve whatever the objectives might be. So this proceeding, and His Honor said that we've reserved about 6 full hearing days for this, because there is a wide range of issues to be considered. And I, along with probably the assistance of some of you and your elected officials, will be representing the township in this case and putting forth, I think, a very vigorous case. I want to bring one more thing to your Honor's attention and to the attention of everybody else in the room. It is that we now have a new energy master plan. And I think it is going to have a significant impact on this case. The energy master plan says we will be clean energy 100% by the year 2050. That's a very ambitious goal, but it is achievable. And it is now the official policy of this state. Clean energy 100% by the year 2050. In conjunction with this, the governor has issued the first of several executive orders commanding the agencies of the state government to turn their attention to meeting this objective. And it will require all hands on deck and using every available technique and tool and option in order to achieve it. It is achievable. It's ambitious, no question about it, but it is achievable. And for many years, the state was a leader in energy conservation and renewable resources. And Governor Murphy has decided we are going to go right back to the top and take that leadership role again. Why does this have anything to do with what some might say is just a little old regulator station in Homedale? I think it's a little bigger than a typical furnace. It's certainly bigger than mine. But in any event, what the Energy Master Plan specifically says about the natural gas utilities, and this is it, it says that by the year 2050, natural gas capacity and demand in this state will be at 1/5 of what it is today. 1/5. It means, for example, that some of the homes that we have here that are heated by natural gas and probably switched over because it was cleaner than oil, you're going to find yourself faced with a situation where your house might have to be switched to electric. Electricity generated by renewable resources like the enormous solar field that's right next to this site, on the Vonage site. A reduction in natural gas capacity and service to 1/5 of what it is today. So this raises the question, what do we need this regulator station for if we are now going to start taking all kinds of aggressive steps to reduce our use of natural gas? It's a fossil fuel. It's cleaner than coal, it's cleaner than oil, it's cleaner than some other alternatives, but it's still a fossil fuel. It impacts our carbon footprint. It contributes to global warming and climate change. And it is now our state policy that we will reduce significantly our use of natural gas. And so that raises the question of whether or not this regulator station is, at a minimum, way oversized for future projected needs. There's a provision of this master plan that deals with something called stranded assets. This is a little deep in the weeds utility term. It means assets that a utility has at one time created that were properly included in rate base, but are now useless. And utilities are very concerned about getting compensated for these assets that they will no longer use. The simplest way to deal with stranded assets is don't create them in the first place. It sounds pretty simple, but there's a lot of controversy and litigation about this. So in representing you, we intend to work hard to understand whether this regulator station needs to be scaled this way, whether it needs to be heated with natural gas. I know that New Jersey Natural Gas has a fondness for natural gas. It's probably cheaper for them than buying electricity, even if it's generated from a solar field next door. But nonetheless, it's our official state policy. Turn down the use of natural gas. Now, all of you, in your various ways, are doing things to reduce your carbon footprint. You recycle, you have your green team in your municipal government here. All of these little things, they all add up. And so while it may be just a little old regulator station in a little corner of Homedale Township, this energy master plan and state policy means everything we could possibly technologically and feasibly do, we must do. And that is how we intend to represent you in the proceeding before his honor. Thank you very much.
I didn't break it, did I? Transitioning into the portion of comment to these proceedings, before we open up to the sign-in sheet, I've been advised that there are a number of local officials present who wish to make comments at this time. I would like to recognize Mayor Bontempo.
Is this, okay, good. So, thank you, Your Honor. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Greg Bontempo, I'm the current mayor of Homedale. I was actually here with Your Honor 3 years ago when we had the first public hearing opposing this New Jersey natural gas regulator system in Homedale. So I have a few comments. I specifically try not to duplicate what I said 3 years ago, and I received numerous emails I was copied on from many residents who sent it to Your Honor and Rate Counsel, and I am not going to steal your thunder, so I will keep this very brief and very high level from the township perspective. The proposed regulator is completely out of character for Homedale, given the township's agricultural history and bucolic setting. Homedale has been extremely aggressive in its open space and farmland preservation initiatives. There are now approximately over 400 acres of preserved agricultural lands at Homedale due to partnerships with the state and county government. The township has made significant financial investments in this endeavor. The current proposed is very close to a very heavily traveled road. The proposed regulator station will have 3 15-foot high smokestacks that will discharge CO2, volatile organic compounds, VOCs, and other chemicals on a 24/7 basis. In addition to climate change concerns, these chemicals have been linked to cancer and respiratory disease. Emissions from natural gas facilities increase the risk of cardiovascular disease, fetal and neonatal illness, and childhood illnesses such as respiratory infections, asthma, and impaired lung development. The proposed site for the regulator is in close proximity to Village School, a local elementary school housing pre-kindergarten through 3rd grade students. Regulator stations release methane, other chemicals that flow with methane, nitrogen oxides, carbon monoxide, VOCs, and formaldehyde, which will be released during the regulating process. Noise emanating from the regulator raises a health risk for heart disease, high blood pressure, and other issues. Prolonged exposure can cause mental and physical fatigue and potentially permanent hearing losses. The town, although does not own the building that this proposed regular system property sits on, but there have been interest from applicants to put a school or extracurricular activities for children in the school, which will be in close proximity to this regulator system. Accidents can occur at any point of gas production. Explosions are possible, as well as accidental releases of air toxins. The regulator will have detrimental impacts on homes and farmland, and quality of life and property values. New Jersey Natural Gas did not submit an adequate environmental impact study addressing the pertinent issues, nor have they been receptive to finding a better location or a more acceptable alternative solution to the proposed. Being involved in this with other members of the Township Committee for many years, we have asked them numerous times to find another location. This site was not appropriate. As Homedale's mayor, I would be derelict in my duties if I not vigorously oppose the applicant's appeal on behalf of the residents. Thank you, Your Honor.
This time I understand that a freeholder in Preveduto was not able to join us, but that he the freeholder requested that a statement be read on their behalf.
Is it okay if I just stand here?
I was going to suggest going forward, as we move into the public comment portion, that maybe we speak at the motion. But thank you for moving it closer. I think that's helpful as well.
Okay, my name is Francie Campus, and I'm here to read a statement for Monmouth County freeholder, Mr. Pat in Preveduto, who could not be here this evening.
Nice to see you.
I, Patrick in Preveduto, as a resident of Homedale and a current Monmouth County freeholder, vehemently oppose the reconstruction of 8 miles of pipeline. I firmly believe that, if approved, this project would negatively impact the residents of Homedale and our environment. New Jersey Natural Gas has failed to explain how the project would fit in our rural environment, adhere to the right to farm act, and respect the state-preserved Fox Hollow Farm. Its close proximity to our schools and our homes would negatively affect our property values. Decreasing property values means less revenue in property taxes for the town. Majority of the money generated from property taxes is reinvested into our schools. Reducing school funding directly impacts the quality of our schools. The reconstruction of the pipelines from 10-inch gas pipeline to a 16-inch pipeline and increasing its operating pressure is unnecessary. The United States Energy Administration reports that New Jersey's residential gas consumption has only grown by 1% each year for the last 10 years. This near stagnancy proves that this enormous increase and New Jersey Natural Gas's reluctance to utilize other alternatives is not justified whatsoever. I urge you to vote against this project. As a Monmouth County freeholder, I vow to support this decision to the best of my ability. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other members of public officials or officials who wish to be heard at this time? Absolutely. And any other public officials who? Okay.
Prakash Santana. So I'd like to share Prakash Santana, Township Committee.
And actually, if I could just ask you before you go, well, I love music as much as the next person does. In my courtroom, there's a sign that says, "Please turn off all cell phones and mobile devices." I'm certainly not so naive that I expect that, but if we could please make an effort to keep the volume down, vibrate where appropriate. just we can try and be considerate of each other's ability to hear and not to distract the speakers who are speaking, who many of you may agree with as well. So with that, I apologize for the interruption.
Last name Santana, S-A-N-T-H-A-N-A. First name Prakash, P-R-A-K-A-S-H. Thank you. So I'd just like to share some research that I did. Question of why they need the regulator station in the first place. So the answer is they need to move pressure from 722 psig to 600 to 100 psig. That pressure difference demands that they need a regulator station that, and to avoid the cooling effect, they need to have all the heating equipment, right? So the next question I have to ask is, why do they need to run gas at 722 psig when today they're not running it because they don't have this cooling issue right now? If you go back and look, the SRL link, Southern Reliability Link, that's being built, has the same pressure, 722 psig. So there is definitely a motive to connect our Homedale line to the SRL. And for what purpose? And I then looked at potentially maybe help service the community, but when you look at the population growth in the entire Monmouth County, it's been flat for 20 years. So the question is, when the population growth is flat, when there is no need for increased volume, why are they running gas at 722 psig? It's not just the pressure. When they increase the pressure, there's increased volume flowing through it. Remember that. The next thing, I read the testimonies. I did see a few things, and it shocked me. This station doesn't just have a heating element. It also has something called odorant injection system. Odorant injection uses a solution called mercaptan. Mercaptan is highly toxic, highly flammable, and if there's an accident, it could explode. They didn't tell you that in the testimony. The next thing they didn't tell you was the fact that heating it using water is not simple water, it's not plain water. They're going to use antifreeze, industrial antifreeze, to mix it with water, because even after they heat the water, because of the cooling, it could potentially lead to icing. So they have to use industrial antifreeze. They did not disclose that. And number three, the stacked gas that they said is nothing but a boiler has carbon monoxide. And if they have stacks, 3 stacks, there's nothing to monitor the carbon monoxide that comes out. That wasn't also mentioned. So I, along with Mayor Von Temple, oppose this regulator station because I do not see the need for it. And in addition to what Mr. Dixon said, there's no need for it based on the policy dictated by the state of New Jersey. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we proceed with comment, I just will, as we're concluding with the public officials, again, the purpose of this matter is a public hearing for the judge and ultimately the Board of Public Utilities to receive comment. And so I just will ask that going forward, if the individual will direct comments toward the chair going forward. Again, with the opening statements from the parties and the elected officials, I'm happy to make the accommodation that we've made, but as we get into the public comment, I will ask that we direct the comments to the chair. Moving to the list, assuming we've gone through the public officials, I have part of the sign-in sheet. If anyone has not yet signed in who wishes to speak, hopefully it's still at the door. We'll be retrieving those sheets as they come up. I'm going to ask Mr. Frank to speak.
Sorry, guys.
Sure, that's, if someone, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm Arthur Frank. I live at 3 Ashley Drive in Homedale. I've been in town since 1988, which is 30-odd years. Over that time, I've served on a number of mayoral appointed boards. The best of all was the zoning board, where I sat for 17 years. I'm not now a member. I was not reappointed when my commission ran out. However, I did sit on the first zoning ordinance for the solar farm, and I sat through all of the hearings for the gas company.
Speak into the mic.
I sat through all the hearings for the gas company. Sure. That when the solar farm came up, that tract was not zoned for a solar farm, but it wasn't necessarily excluded. It was kind of permissible. When we voted it in, we did it because the owner of the property has a right to merchandise his property and sell it, and it was the only buyer. You know, and if we didn't approve it, we would have had to condemn it and couldn't collect taxes on it. So we approved it, figuring the solar farm would be there forever. NJN came in with afterward, might have been a year and a half, 2 years, and they were adamant about that spot. I talked to them any number of times. Could not find out why they wanted that spot. I told them on several occasions that area is only zoned for one business. To put a second business in there is not within the authorization of the zoning board. If they had to have it, they have to go to the township committee and get the zoning changed. They never did. I asked them about alternate spots. They said they looked at them, but they never told me. But they did have. You know, they're not obligated to tell you where they looked under law, and they didn't. They brought in everybody, every cook and bottle washer that you can imagine. We scheduled any number of meetings to accommodate him, but it's still a second business on the same slot, and the zoning board is not authorized to make that change. There's only one way that they can legally do what they want to do. That's to buy the solar farm, knock it down, and then build a gas plant in that space. You know, the only way I can think of. I didn't tell them that, of course. But yeah, if they want to do it that way, they can do it that way. A lot of the arguments about the dangers, et cetera, you bump into that in almost any town. A lot of them are generic arguments. I don't think that New Jersey Natural Gas has the right to walk into Homedale and say, you have to change your zoning. We're bigger than you are, and we got more money, and we're going to sue you to death if we have to, but we're going to get it in the end, which is what they're doing. Yep. If the authorities allow this to go forward, it's a travesty. It means that local government doesn't mean anything anymore. That's simple. I got in an argument with Dimitri, Fanatopoulos, who was the chairman of the board at the time. He says you shouldn't have told them to go to the township committee that they couldn't have it in any event. I says, why not, Dimitri? They can't have it. Tell them. If they want it that bad, let them go to the township committee. Let the committee change the zoning if they want, which I doubt they'll do. That's the next step. They never took it. You know, there's only so much you can do. As far as I can tell, they're bound and determined to grab that spot, regardless of what they have to do. They've got engineers, technicians, lawyers, politicians, everything up the wahoo behind them. This is just Homedale. Hell with them. Let them live with it. Not right. Just not right. I probably didn't get reappointed to the board because I took such a hard position that the board is not allowed to countervene the existing zoning. If zoning says you got one business on the site, that's what it is. I don't care if you say it in Chinese or in Polish. It's one business. That's the position they're in, and they're giving you all kinds of crap. In fact, I told them that if they had to have it in Homedale, it should go up between the parkway bridges. That land is owned by the garden, by the highway authority. It's enough room. It's adequate for that purpose, and they could probably get it for free. They didn't do that either. What else would they do? Give them a free spot where they don't have to go through the litigation. They want that spot for some reason. They never told me why. I'm like a dog with a bone. I wouldn't let them go. Depends on how they want to run the town.
Moving the list, I have Kim White-Casola.
Kim Casola. Some of this I'm not going to go over now because I am grateful that you do have all the other documents. They'll refer to that. Everything we said is still on the record. But I do stand before you as a deemed interested party. I live at 939 Homedale Road. I am less than 200 feet across the street from the proposed regulator station. I am on a preserved farm of nearly 100 acres, and we have Fox Hollow Vineyards located there. Originally, I had filed to be an intervener when all of this occurred during the first presentation with the gas company. And suddenly I didn't hear anything. I inquired of the administrative law office, and I was told that the New Jersey Natural Gas application had been put into an inactive file at the time and that nothing was going on. I verified that with our township attorney, Michael Collins, and he confirmed that. New Jersey Natural Gas then came out with a new application again in 2018, and I was not notified of any of that. And when I inquired of our township attorney again, he stated that because this is a whole brand new application, any status that I previously had no longer carried over. So that was a previous application. So not to get redundant here.
If I could just interrupt you for 1 second, I will state that since these matters have consolidated, your status as a
I'm
as a
now an
participant,
interested, yeah, I'm
as
now
a
an
participant
interested party.
does carry over.
Correct.
That is to both matters.
As an intervener as well?
The order to intervene was denied. The matter, Ms. Casola was determined to be given granted status as a participant, and that has carried over.
So, anyway, sorry.
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure you do that. No, I apologize.
That's okay. But in that very initial presentation, I'm just going to quickly go over a couple things so that people who weren't here the first time, and this is what's really important to me and was never addressed again the second time. We were all stunned when their various experts and representatives the first time through continually described the proposed area as industrial and commercial. And I have attached the transcript excerpts with some of the most alarming statements coming from Mr. Panachone saying we look for commercial and industrial areas when selecting a site. And from Mr. Craig Sanders, especially at the 3/2/16 meeting, describing pressure reduction, stating as when you have significant stations like this. We have 35 stations similar to this, which we consider a major station. And then they referred to it as feeding city-level capacities. He went on to call this a backbone area to feed growth, and that we carry other towns. When someone inquired about the relief valve and a secondary regulator picking up the slack, he stated we got away from that type of valve in larger capacity stations like this. We are feeding the shore. Gas is coming from Jamesburg as part of the Franklin Line system, and we are looking for industrial zoned acres. This was not a description of our historic Homedale Village that consists of many buildings from the 1800s, several large office campuses, neighborhoods with homes starting in the high $700,000 to many being over $3 million, all on 1+ acre lots. There are also 3 very large preserved farms right there, and the Monmouth County Park just recently acquired land all behind this. Now I just have to skip a little, so forgive me. Another thing that was very befuddling to me at the initial petition of the regulator, which was to be located on that solar field, that in itself, Mr. Panachone indicated that they had been seeking a site for over 4 years, so this is in 2016. Aha! Did they know they would need a regulator station? He stated they went into talks with Cornerstone, the solar property, and got a deal with them in 2014. Odd that he would refer to them as Cornerstone, because the company immediately flipped ownership to OCI upon its completion back in early 2013. it makes me wonder if New Jersey Natural Gas was in as a piggyback with the 31 acres of solar from the inception, especially because of NJR's solar portfolio and the fact that all the attorneys and representatives during the presentations refused to answer any of our questions or to disclose any information when we wanted to know how the site was acquired. Was there a lease? Was there a purchase? Why does it have to be this specific spot? Well, the solar can easily be dismantled, and now here sits NJNG with 31 acres that can easily then accommodate a compressor station or liquidized gas storage. We do have a line now that's capable of 722 or 772, whatever, right down the road. Ms. Skidmore also referenced Cornerstone, although there was no Cornerstone. So now I go to the second application in 2018, when this was presented totally different, and in total different wording. And Ms. Skidmore, who was the representative for New Jersey Natural Gas, said that any previous testimony that was done was a previous application, so we cannot question any more of those earlier presentations. So there we were, concerned citizens, taxpayers, and parents, and made very, very clear anytime we brought up something that they were not or had not touched on, that it could not be discussed. So imagine our surprise when the two dockets, the two applications, were combined. I am glad to know that all of that carried over, but I do feel that I, along with all my concerned neighbors and friends and colleagues, etc., that we are not really given a fair or equitable saying in the proceedings because we were not allowed to discuss our concerns that came up during their first application. It's also laughable to me that the gas company continually uses their scare tactics of it being a dire situation when referring to the possibility of freezing, when young infants like my grandchildren or my parents could freeze from the cold if this were to go out. Well, we've been told about that freezing box and icy, leaky box since the first application 4 years ago. If it was such a potential threat, that could easily be remedied in the meantime till they get to where they're going or figure out what is going on. I grow over 30 acres of grapes with vines already 10 years old out front across from this proposed regulator. Grapes are very thin-skinned, they're highly permeable and sensitive. I have grave concerns about the effects of the toxins and emissions that come out of this station 24/7, 365 days a year. And by the way, in doing a little research, I find the DEP typically has no say in any of these emissions, so it's not like the DEP is saying it's okay and safe, because they have not reviewed that. I worry about the effect of this on my family and on my farm. We are heavily invested in this township. I know not many people are familiar with agriculture around here anymore, but my grandma's family was here since the late 1600s, and my husband's family came here at the turn of the 19th century, and we have been involved in farming. Farm families typically stay together and they farm. All 5 of my children are heavily invested in agriculture.